you feel a lot less pressure this finals run just because you are undermanned and you had some injuries as opposed to previous years?
Nah, I feel confident because I'm the best player in the world.
When you want to be a great and you want to be the greatest, you want to continue to win and win and win.
It's just in me, man. I love competing. I love winning. I love just like playing the game.
I don't give a who's on that club. You can have Jordan, you can have Shaq, Allen Iverson, and Jesus Christ could be their coach. They're gonna lose.
A father.
My son is the only reason why I'm still sane.
A son.
You know, at this point, I don't really need nobody else.
A legacy written in blood, sweat, and broken records.
LeBron James, a shot at history. LeBron stands alone!
But before this moment, before the applause, before the statues, there was a battle for respect. A battle for survival, a battle for immortality.
I don't think you can really just bring a high school player in, really just think your team gonna really turn around like that.
LeBron James would never be MJ.
No matter how mighty the sword, no matter how strong the shield, a king must fight for his throne. And when the dust settles, there will only be one name left standing. This gladiator's journey began long before he ever dreamed of dominating in the Colosseum. We have to venture back to the year 1984. While fighting against the odds is to be expected, perhaps even welcomed in the journey of a warrior, LeBron James was thrust into battle on the day he was born. His opponent? Poverty. Akron, Ohio, made for the arena in which a young prince would be molded into a battle-tested king. James was born to his single mother, Gloria. She was just 16 years old when she gave birth to LeBron. She had little in terms of experience, but she had all the love in the world for her baby boy. Even so, there was seemingly no escape the relentless poverty in which she found herself.
She was 16 when she had me. The father figure that I was looking for, wasn't ever there.
LeBron and his mother moved from home to home, from rough neighborhoods to those that can only be described as desolate and forgotten by society. How could he possibly escape such a scenario? The calling came soon enough.
LeBron was still in diapers, going on 2 years old, from a Little Tikes basketball hoop. From then on, he had to have it at the highest height, and he was dunking on it.
James and the game were meant to be. The young gladiator had found his weapon of choice, but he needed someone to step in to teach him to harness the power within it.
She placed the basketball in my hand, and every day when I woke up, I had that little basketball in my hand and was trying to dunk on a 6-foot hoop every day.
When James reached the age of 9, he met that someone, Frank Walker, a wise, worn, and wonderfully gifted mentor who helped LeBron see the sport of basketball as something more than a pastime. It was a ticket to a new life, an escape from the hell he had been born into. Gloria realized this troubling truth. She sacrificed so much, but she could not find steady work. She could not provide a stable home environment for her son. She made one more sacrifice when she allowed LeBron to move in with Frank Walker and his family, and it was a heartbreaking reality. But Gloria knew that the odds were stacked against her son. You see, LeBron was not set up for success. In fact, he was seemingly destined to fail and repeat the cycle of poverty that his family had been forced to embrace. Still, he found a way out. And in order to fight for glory, one must enter the Colosseum. Domination. There was no other suitable word for a kid from Akron at high school level.
He's an all-around great player. He has it all, definitely. He's very athletic. He has a lot of poise, and he can do almost everything.
As the leader of the Fighting Irish, LeBron James was a storm with which there was no negotiating. James threw fellow combatants aside, making a mark on the game in a way that few athletes had ever managed. His rise was electric to witness, but it quickly became clear that for James, there was no limit. He was only going to keep getting better.
For me, it could be compared to Michael, Magic, Kobe, all the ones that's making so success in the league. It's great, and I'm gonna just keep working hard, and someday it could be another one that could be compared to me.
James was already king in a small kingdom. Though doubters still had their say, LeBron won't last, LeBron won't live up to the hype, LeBron won't be able to cope with the pressure. The future surefire Hall of Famer was still a kid with tremendous pressure being heaped onto his shoulders. Pressure comparable to the hardships he had overcome in his youth.
Akron has not always been good for me, but it's always been my home. It don't matter if I had bad times, it's always been where I live. You just gotta remember those things.
Basketball was still the only permanent escape for James and his family. And there were millions of basketball fans waiting for LeBron James to slip up and fail in his conquest. Now, that is what you call pressure. But coping with pressure is what great gladiators do. James was just a teenager, but he was the first high school basketball underclassman to make the cover of Sports Illustrated. The boy was essentially box office before he was even cast into a major motion picture. He was a phenomenon.
He was one of the easiest guys I've ever coached. And so I was a college coach prior to coaching him. And once I saw him, I called some of my friends and I said, I got a guy that I think's one of the best I've seen. And they all kind of laughed at me and they say, oh, you sound like a high school coach now. But the biggest thing that jumps out at you is just his innate ability and his ability to learn.
And his exploits were turning him into a legend. He had already had the attention of the emperor of his chosen sport.
Yeah, I've seen him play. He's very talented.
The emperor could sit softly on his throne for now, but LeBron James was about to enter the arena in which he could truly prove his worth. June 26, 2003, a date carved in stone in the annals of basketball history. LeBron James entered the Gladiator Games, the NBA.
The biggest part of it was the expectations coming out of high school, that type of pressure. And to live up to those expectations, because they was like, he could be the greatest to ever play the game. And he came in with a nickname King out the jump. I ain't never seen that outside of Magic.
In a move seemingly destined from birth, James was the chosen one to his native Cleveland Cavaliers. The sword and the team logo was fitting, as it was time for James to do battle in the big time.
I just know that we're gonna get better every day, and we're gonna be a lot better team than last year. I can guarantee that.
This was no longer high school. This was LeBron against the most seasoned gladiators in the game. It was time to compete. First time out, James was a new breed of combatant. He was a sensation, finishing with record-setting 25 points, the most ever scored in a debut by a player straight out of high school. LeBron as an NBA star was instant, and anything less than a Rookie of the Year win would be cause for a thumbs down. James looked set, but another challenger had entered the arena at the same time as the future king. His name, Carmelo Anthony.
I'm really excited about what Carmelo did for his team this year, and hopefully he's excited about what we're about to get ourselves into.
Whispers in the halls of basketball history will tell you that LeBron had no equal in his rookie year. Yet Melo was James's first contender. The two did battle all season, with LeBron winning the Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month every month, and Melo doing the same over in the West. A fascinating feud was born, but there could only be one victor holding the prize at the end of the year. LeBron James won the award. He passed his first test with flying colors. Carmelo Anthony was left as the only player in NBA history to win Rookie of the Month every month but not bag the Rookie of the Year award when the regular 82 was said and done. Any other year, Carmelo would have made megastar, but instead, he played second to LeBron. Soon, every NBA player would know this feeling. There was no sophomore slump for Akron's own, as James continued to establish himself as the hottest rising star in the sport. He became an all-star, and more importantly, turned a struggling Cavs team into a 50-win force in the Eastern Conference. This was a young warrior putting a team on his back and carrying them deep into the playoffs. In 2007, LeBron's fame was insurmountable, and glory was seemingly within reach. LeBron James and his Cleveland Cavaliers reached the postseason promised land, the NBA Finals. Their opponents, a time-tested team led by one of basketball's most formidable shields in Tim Duncan. The San Antonio Spurs were an army, and for LeBron, they were his toughest challenge yet. Before LeBron could learn to win, he had to taste the harshest of defeats. The Spurs swept the Cavaliers in 4 games. LeBron was shut down all series, with San Antonio putting all their defensive focus on the young king. James fought well, but it wasn't meant to be.
We're guarding him with 5 guys. We understand what kind of player he is. He is the best player in the world, so we're respecting him as that.
Frustrations were at an all-time high. Could James really win when it mattered? Could he finish the story and live up to the hype? The chosen one answered his critics by winning the most coveted individual prize in basketball, the NBA's Most Valuable Player Award. He didn't just win it once, though. James won back-to-back awards, cementing himself as the greatest player in the game. Best in the world, but no ring.
That's my dream, and holding that trophy one day is my dream.
Greatness is measured by the championship trophies one stands proudly with at the end of battle. Kings and conquerors have always been forced to make difficult decisions. LeBron had one of his own to make, and it was about to make him the most hated man in America.
And this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
The sporting world turned into a frenzy. The media storm was furious. LeBron was committing the ultimate betrayal against the city that raised him.
He's one of our own. That's what makes it so painful. I'm a big LeBron fan, and this is the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. And I just want to say that I hope that LeBron doesn't win a championship in Miami.
This is terrible. This is the worst thing that could ever happen to Cleveland.
LeBron set fire to the dreams of basketball fans in Cleveland, and in return, they took to the streets and burned their James jerseys. It made for a startling visual. Their franchise player reduced to ash, and there was no telling the effect it had on James's mental state. Did he immediately regret his decision? Did he believe he had thrown away a legacy he spent a lifetime building? Had he seen his last days as a fan favorite in the NBA? Perhaps the more important question was what happens when a hero falls and transforms into a villain. Could the hero possibly rise again? LeBron was the most hated man in basketball, perhaps in all of sports, and at this point almost everyone wanted to watch LeBron fail and suffer. But James did not fall on his sword. The Miami Super Team were in fact super when it came down to it, but it was no simple switch. The merging of megastar talents took time. James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and company struggled to start the season. Largely victims of overwhelming hate from fans and the media, the Miami Heat were public enemy number 1, and James was the man made to take the brunt of the criticism. The self-doubt crept in. LeBron had to be regretting the decision. But even so, there was no turning back. Strong sailors aren't made through smooth seas, and by 2010, LeBron James was battle-tested and well-acquainted with adversity and obstacles to overcome. This was never clearer than the moment James returned to his home as a member of the Heat. Every touch of the ball in Cleveland resulted in deafening jeers. The hatred was far hotter than any weather in South Beach. LeBron was hated like before. But could he play through it? Could he silence the boos? Akron's own rose above the hate just as easily as he could rise above the rim. 38 points in victory for Miami. James had the last laugh. The slow start to the season turned into a second-seed finish for Miami. James led his new team to the NBA Finals with a jaw-dropping conference finals display against the Celtics. James conquered the Beantown crowd, and his next foe was even fiercer. The Mavericks, led by one of Europe's finest ever, Dirk Nowitzki. What should have been LeBron's sword swing at vengeance became the opposite. The pressure, the hatred, and criticism, it all weighed heavily on the crown of King James. He crumbled. The Heat lost in 6 games. During the series, LeBron averaged only 3 points in 4 quarters. His points average for the finals, when compared to his averages in the regular 82, represented the largest drop in league history. Grins grew on the faces of the doubters. LeBron James turned his back on Cleveland and he paid the price. He was a broken man, a wounded gladiator. But James was not finished. It was time for him to transform, and in order to do that, he made another decision. He became the villain the media painted him out to be. James turned to the dark side, and the rest of the league didn't stand a chance.
All the people that was rooting on me to fail, at the end of the day, they got to wake up tomorrow and have the same life that they had before they woke up today. They got the same personal problems that they had today. And I'm going to continue to live the way I want to live.
Rejuvenated and revitalized, James returned the following season like a warrior possessed by the spirits of those fighters who fell before him. He stormed to his third MVP award, then followed that up with pure domination in the NBA playoffs. He took the Heat back to the finals, and once there, he slayed his demons, posting a triple-double in a series-clinching Game 5 win against the Thunder. LeBron James was a conqueror. He was an NBA champion. Are you not entertained? The next year, LeBron and the Heat did it all over again. James won another MVP award. He grabbed another ring, and he firmly planted himself as an all-time great. This was redemption, and it proved the decision to be the right one. The boos from the fans in Cleveland began to soften. They accepted that their hometown hero was destined for greater things than their city could provide. James took his talents to South Beach, and by doing so, he took his game to the next level. Defining greatness is never easy, but LeBron's achievements in Miami were undeniable. He had become the king he was always destined to be. He had shrugged off the arrows in his back and won against the odds. The media embraced him as a hero once again, but in order to truly win the hearts of everyone back, LeBron James had to make things right with the people he left behind.
The city of Cleveland, long tortured without a championship for 50 years, now has something to cheer about. LeBron James is coming home.
Could the fans in Cleveland truly embrace LeBron James again? The city rejoiced upon hearing LeBron's homecoming promise. They were ready to back LeBron just as they had done before, but this time, James would have to deliver on his promises. It wasn't easy, but the arrival of All-Star Kevin Love quickly put optimism in Ohio on the up. LeBron, now backed by Love and Kyrie Irving, was a man on a mission. The mission was to win back his hometown faithful and take his rightful place on the throne as the greatest basketball player of all time. Surely, if James could return to Cleveland and bring them an NBA championship, that would be mission accomplished. It seemed impossible, but this is the chosen one we're talking about. The problem standing in LeBron's way was a team of warriors by name and by trade. Golden State had risen to elite status in the NBA thanks to the sharpshooting duo of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. No shield could stop these arrows, but LeBron was never going to back down. It was just like old times. History repeating itself as the Akron Hammer willed his Cavaliers to the NBA Finals. It was a fifth straight trip to the Finals. History did repeat itself, though, and LeBron and the Cavs went home the losers after 6 games.
For me, it's never a success if you go out losing. But I think it's we put ourselves in, back where this franchise needed to be, being a contender. But we still got a lot of work to do.
LeBron, making good on his unfulfilled promise to Cleveland, began to look even more unlikely because the Warriors became even stronger the following season. James wanted a rematch, but this looked like too tall a task, even for the most valiant of fighters in basketball. By 2016, the Golden State Warriors weren't just the best team in the league, they were, by some metrics, the greatest team in league history, thanks to their greatest ever regular season record of 73 wins.
Look, LeBron still has years left, but what are you going to do if you're running into this kid?
LeBron James, you have been dethroned and you have been challenged.
Business as usual, James took his team back to the finals. The rematch with the Warriors was on, but these were perhaps the heaviest odds LeBron had ever been up against in his career. They were about to get heavier. Cleveland suffered 2 blowout losses early in the series, and just like that, the Cavs were down 3-1. It was as good as done. After all, no team in NBA history had ever come back from such a deficit in the finals.
Obviously, people have feelings, and people's feelings get hurt, even if they're called a bad word. I guess his feelings just got hurt.
The thing is, None of the teams that faced that deficit had LeBron James charging them into battle.
What did you say Clay said?
Clay said, I guess he just got his feelings hurt.
The Cavs fought back to force a Game 7. This particular Game 7 was the game James was born to play. The first quarter was tight, only 1 point in it. The Warriors stretched the lead in the second quarter, but LeBron refused to let him pull away. The third and fourth saw the Cavs claw their way back. And with 2 minutes to go, the score was tied.
Irving strides, hop step, inside, pulls up, misses, rebound, taken by Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with a rejection.
One moment, one spectacular move, and James changed the dynamic of the game. It was perhaps the greatest defensive play in NBA history. Seconds later, the only way they could stop James was by fouling. The chosen one sank his final free throw and clinched Cleveland its first pro sports title in over 50 years.
It's over. Cavaliers are NBA champions.
I set out a goal 2 years when I came back to bring a championship to this city. I gave everything that I had. I poured my heart, my blood, my sweat, my tears to this game, and against all odds, I don't know why we want to take the hardest road. I don't know why the man above gives me the hardest road, but instead of saying why me, they're saying this is what he want me to do. And Cleveland, this is for you. Oh!
Don't call it a comeback. Call it the greatest comeback in the history of the game. LeBron became the first player to lead both teams in all 5 statistical categories in a playoff round. King James hadn't accomplished the impossible, and he'd done it in a fashion that will never be replicated.
I've never seen 2 guys play at that level
for 3 straight
games. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like Bron and Kyrie were just on. Like, we play well. They just play better.
What could there possibly be left to prove? In the game of basketball, there is perhaps no army more iconic than the purple and gold of Los Angeles. If there was one thing for LeBron to prove, it was that he could restore a dwindling franchise back to greatness. This idea seemingly proved an aging warrior with an insurmountable burst of motivation. There were suspicions that years of battle on the court were slowly catching up to the king. These grew more apparent once James suited up as a Laker. In 2018, James said goodbye to Cleveland for a second time, this time as a hero. No jerseys were set on fire. LeBron's next destination was Los Angeles. It was a Hollywood move that made the kind of waves only LeBron James seemed capable of. The first season in LA was troublesome, though, with injuries and a lackluster supporting cast, leaving James looking like a prize fighter past his prime. If LeBron was to win another ring, if he was to catch the greats he was still chasing, he was going to have to do it fast. At 35, time was running out.
The difference between Bron and everybody else is the fact that his discipline. Right? Everybody can say, I want to do that, and he got the blueprint.
Right.
But are you disciplined enough to follow that blueprint?
He would only have a few more years left at the top of his game. Could James do it one more time? The 2019-20 season answered the question. LeBron and the Lakers were joined by a superstar in Anthony Davis. A little support was all the chosen one needed, and he responded by playing some of the best basketball of his career. He led the entire NBA in assists per game, guided the Lakers to their historic 17th NBA championship. James grabbed his 4th ring and 4th Finals MVP award. Father Time was no match for the kid from Akron. LeBron became the 2nd oldest player in NBA history to win Finals MVP, while also becoming the only player in history to win it with 3 different teams.
I'm sort of running out of arguments for Michael. I mean, what this guy has done has been nothing short of incredible. The longevity, being called king at 15, and how he turned out, and what he's done for communities where he played, and changed so many lives. So he's a very, very special athlete. And
LeBron James had reached the untouchable level when it came to his accomplishments. At an age when most players would be winding down their careers, it felt like James was just getting started, at least in terms of breaking records. But surely there was no way he could keep going. Most NBA legends had already hung it up at this point. LeBron still wasn't satisfied.
He doesn't get scored on in isolation. He blows plays up. He's always in the right position. You know, I think there was this perception of him at this age, like conserving energy. Oh, no.
He had one more goal in sight, one that was once unthinkable. He wanted to become the greatest scorer ever. James powered through, continuing to play his signature brand of basketball. Age would not slow him down. In 2023, with one more bucket, LeBron James became the NBA's all-time leading scorer. He cemented himself as the man at the very top of the mountain.
And the best part of it all, you're still going. There's still more points to be scored and lives to be changed. And there's no ceiling for you and your work. From the LeBron James Family Foundation, your kids and your community, we're all so very proud to be alongside you on this journey. It's incredible how far you've come and to think how far you still can go. Congratulations. Love, your mama.
In 2025, James received 50,000 career points, a feat never before seen in the game, and one that will almost certainly never be seen again. For those who had witnessed it, they had experienced a young athlete live up to and far surpass the hype that surrounded him. They had seen a young man hold up under immense pressure. They had witnessed the rise of a new ruler. Every ruler needs an empire, and every king needs an heir. That's where the closing chapter to LeBron's remarkable story begins. Would LeBron's final act be his most legendary?
It was difficult not having that father figure around, so, you know, I carry that responsibility strong.
A legacy as stable as one could possibly dream of, LeBron James stands alone in a hall of basketball names. There'll never be any erasing of the chosen one's legacy. But there's now a reason that legacy shall never even fade from memory. The NBA James Gang is now 2 members strong. On October 22, 2024, LeBron James and his son, his heir to his basketball throne, Bronny James, took the court together and became the first ever father and son duo to play together in the NBA. Of all the accomplishments, the cabinets filled with trophies and awards, the records that'll never be broken, James playing in the big league with his own son may just be the most remarkable.
Just going up to that score table with my dad, checking in for the first time, that's a crazy moment I will never forget.
Let us not forget how LeBron's journey began. A young boy forced into poverty, a struggling single mother doing anything she could to provide for her offspring. Family didn't just play a part in LeBron's journey to becoming the greatest basketball player of all time. It defined it.
Be able to be in this league and play in this league and also being able to do it alongside Bronny right now, that's like one of the biggest accomplishments and probably the number one accomplishment I've ever been able to do.
Whenever James decides to walk away from the game, he will do so with a legacy unfinished, as time will only tell what LeBron James Jr. will accomplish and add to his father's already incredible resume. The thing is, LeBron James has passed the torch to his son, but he's also still running alongside him. The king is not finished yet. History will remember the name. Bars, taverns, barbershops, and basketball courts will hear whispers of it for generations to come. This arena we know and love is decorated with the blood, sweat, the tears of victory and defeat, and the chalk tossed before so many showdowns that have turned to legends in the years since. That's the thing about LeBron James. A king can be dethroned, a gladiator can fall, but legends never die.
Without the goal.